Good evening, race fans, and welcome to round number 14 of the Velocity Racing League Cup Series here in 2022. We are here today at Iowa Speedway for the Heartland 250. Folks, 250 laps that we will be completing here today at Iowa Speedway. My name is Mason Heimbaugh with Team Goon Squad, bringing you the action here tonight, 1080p 60 frames a second. Now, folks, as we have drivers currently making their way around track, getting themselves ready to go here and started for their qualifying runs here, as we have a few drivers already making their way around the track here. Taking a look right now, Nicholas Lavell in that number 10 machine that we're having a look at this point in time. But let's take a look, let's talk about actually last week's race that we had here at Iowa. Now, if you weren't here for last week's race, it was not exactly a race for championship points per se, more as it was a competition of, well, all-stars. It was the all-star race here at Iowa, and for that race, we saw quite a lot of great competition. Ultimately, Cody Welch taking home the win in that number 85 car. Nicholas Lavell, who we're currently locked on with, currently in that taking home second place for that race, with Alex Anderson taking home third. Looking right now, Nicholas Lavell going to sit himself 10th place. Now as Howie Briss qualifies himself into that second place spot, Aaron Smith going to be at the very tippy top here of qualifying with a 23.83. Let's actually verify that that is his best time here. There we go. 23.83 was his best time. Howie Briss with a 23.85 as his best time here. So just a few drivers left out on track here to finish out their qualifying run here, and we get ourselves ready to go and started for today's event here. I got to say, this is, right now sitting in the season, looking at standings right now. Let's actually take a quick moment here to take a look at that here while we have time. So Howie Briss, there you can see at the very tippy top, leading the championship right now with 1,873 points. Tony Hilbrand's taking that second place spot with 1,771 points after, a little bit of an interesting run in the week prior to last week's race. So not Iowa, but Chicagoland. Anyhow, Nicholas Lavell sitting in third place with 1,753 points, just 120 points behind the leader, Howie Briss. And it looks like all of our actually, we still got a couple drivers left here making their run here for qualifying. So right now, we've seen some pretty interesting competition throughout this season so far. Right now, Howie Briss, having started 12 races out of the season here thus far, taken a pole 3 times. He's won 1 race here thus far. Tony Hilbrand's also with 1 win, but only 2 poles. There's a lot more information that we could dive into, but we won't get into all the nitty-gritty, as that would just get a little bit redundant and a little boring here after a while. But anyhow, Aaron Smith, no one's able to really cap on that number 70 car here. Another thing that I'd like to mention before we wrap up our qualifying, you'll notice here on James Coulibaly's machine, that's number 12 car, you'll see the yellow markers there on his spoiler as well as valences. That is indicating that he is contending for the Crown Jewel race. That's right, folks. This is the second Crown Jewel race of the season. Now, if you'll recall, the second race that we saw here for the VRL Cup Series was in fact a Crown Jewel race. So, after quite some time between the last one, we have 5 drivers that are now eligible to put themselves in a spot that may come away with a cash prize at the end of this race here. Howie Briss, Michael Ashmore, Nicholas Lavell, James Coulibaly, and Benny Hogan. All 5 of these drivers have been absolutely fantastic throughout the season, and now they have a chance to, possibly give themselves, one of them, give themselves a little bit of a cash prize if they come away with the win for this race here today. We already got someone in the chat saying, hello, howdy do, Marcus Regal. How are you doing, sir? I am doing fantastic. I'm here ready to call the action here for the VRL Cup Series Heartland 250. And I hope you folks at home are ready and excited to enjoy the action that we have here getting ready for us as we have our starting grid up on our screen here currently. So let's go ahead and run through it. Aaron Smith with Team Satellite Racing in the number 70 machine taking home first. Howie Briss, the number 97 machine, going to take second place, rounding out your first row. Cody Welch on the inside of the second row, the 85 car, taking third place. Jaden Hopp on the outside in the 81 machine, rounding out your second row. In fourth place, Tony Hillbrands, the 92 car, taking fifth place here on the inside. Scott Shire in the 4 car, taking sixth place on the outside, rounding out your third row. Benny Hogan going to be in 7th place here tonight with Shawn Williams taking 8th place here. Thomas Sewell in the 9th place spot. Patrick Colby in 10th. Nicholas Lavell in 11th. James Miller going to be in 12th place here currently. As we go ahead and scroll our way down the field here. 13th is Kevin Foster. 14th is Charles Jurek. Matthew Fitz in 15th. James Coulibaly in 16th. Daniel Mosteller in 17th. And Michael Ashmore going to be in 18th here today. So that is going to round out our field here. 18 drivers that we have out on the track currently making their way behind the pace car, getting themselves ready to go for the start of today's race here. And folks, I gotta say, this is going to be quite an exciting one. I mean, if there's any, after having kind of a little bit of a break here as we have an in-car camera preview of Tony Hillbrand's car in the number 92 machine as we get ourselves ready. Going down the front straight here once more with the pace truck in tow. Once we come back around out of turn 4 next time around, we will see green flag racing here for the very first time here at Iowa Speedway. Folks, strap yourselves in and get ready as, this season, again, has been exciting through and through. We've seen a lot of great competition from all of, frankly, this entire field. Aaron Smith, Howie Briss, Jaden Hopp, Cody Welch, Scott Shire, Tony Hillbrand, Shawn Williams. I mean, I could go on and on here, folks. There are so many talented drivers here in the VRL Cup Series that it's hard to just name them all. So as we go ahead and get ourselves ready to go here, heading into turn 3, we will come out of turn 4. And for the very first time, we will see the green flag fly here at Iowa Speedway. Here as the drivers patiently wait for the green flag to drop, Aaron Smith right on the gas here, and away we go. Heading off into turn 1. Let's see what these drivers have in store here for lap number 1 of 250 here at Iowa Speedway. Charging down the back straightaway. The top 5 here getting mostly pretty well single file at this point. But look at back here. This is where the real gaggle of cars is starting to form here with Nicholas Lavell here in this pack. Here as we take a look at our picture-in-picture view here of the field, you're looking at Nicholas Lavell on the bottom side of the screen as we work our way down the back straightaway. Heading into turn 3 now. A lot of shuffling between these drivers here, kind of in the midfield. Nicholas Lavell sitting in that 10th place spot. Thomas Sewell, Shawn Williams, both duking it out. Meanwhile, just in front of him for that 8th and 9th place spot there. We head down the back straightaway. We've already turned a couple laps here already, and just seeing the action that we have unfolding thus far, gotta say, I love what I'm seeing here. Looking at Thomas Sewell right now, the number 77 car. Oh, gets a little bit sideways there as he comes out of turn 2. He's leading kind of this pack of cars right behind him. You can see Scott Shire, Shawn Williams as well side by side here as they come out of turn 4. And out the front curve into turn 1. And out of 2 and down the back straightaway. We're too wide, too deep here. for this 10th place spot. Let's go ahead and check back in with our leaders here currently, as we got some interesting action forming up here between these drivers. Aaron Smith currently leading this field. Cody Welch sitting right behind in second place, duking it out with Howie Brisk, currently side by side here as they work their way, heading out of turn 2, down the back straightaway. Very, very close contact here between these two drivers. Well, not contact necessarily, but just close racing between these two drivers. And you can see on the number 97 machine, that yellow spoiler indicating that he is competing for the Crown Jewel race here today. Aaron Smith, Cody Welch, both just contending for points in the championship at this point. Ultimately just trying to compete for whatever position that they can muster here. Taking a look back down the straightaway here. Oh man, look at these drivers almost taking it 4 wide out of turn 4. Down the front curve here once again. It's Matthew Fitz and Charles Jurek. No, that's Scott Shire, excuse me. Both going to be side by side here as they work their way out of turn 2 now. And down back the straightaway here once more. Our field getting relatively spread out here, as well as time is starting to tick on, and I'm quite surprised at how well, I don't want to say that, it's not too well spread out, but seeing the line difference between all of these drivers here and just seeing how quickly some of these drivers can start to fall off the pace of the guy in front of them, it's tough. Iowa is a tough track, and it definitely is showing here as we continue to battle on. Aaron Smith doing a phenomenal job trying to hold off Cody Welch in that number 85 machine. I know the fans of that number 85 car are going to be quite thrilled to see Cody Welch performing as well as he is right now. So great to see that here for Cody, as he's been really having a great season thus far. Taking a look at the season currently, Cody Welch has come away in the top 10 at least 5 times. He hasn't been able to crack into that top 5 margin yet. So we're just going to have to wait and see if he's going to be able to pull that off here tonight. Sitting in second place, it's only lap 11 of 250, so it's still a long race left to go here before we see that checkered flag fly. As we continue on with our race here, oh, looks like, who is this? James Coulibaly. The number 12 machine looking to try and take things possibly 3 wide here as they shuffle back out down the back straightaway here. Man, James is really just on the charge here. Let's go ahead and see if we can ride on board here with James Coulibaly here for just a moment and see exactly what we're looking at here. You can see it down on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. James Coulibaly's number 12 machine as he currently charges his way behind Kevin Foster in that number 8 there, down onto the bottom into turn 3. Very, very close there between those two drivers, ultimately keeping it together, looking quite confident out there as well. Great driving here between all of our field. As we continue on, just looking at what everyone is up to right now, you know, kind of some interesting packs that we have forming at this point in time, and it's still early on in this race. Now, one thing that I do have to mention is that we're seeing fuel window, I believe it was fuel windows of about, yes, 90 to 100 laps. So drivers really aren't going to have to go coming down into the pits here until just before that halfway mark. Now, that could be bad, that could be good. We're just going to have to wait and see. It just depends on where you're looking and what driver you're looking for. So, but as we continue on right now, Shawn Williams starting to get a little bit of pressure from behind from the other Crown Jewel, one of the other Crown Jewel drivers here, Nicholas Lavell in that number 10 machine. As they continue on down the back straightaway, heading into turn 3 now. Aaron Smith still holding on to this lead here as well. Looking at the timing tower right now, gives you an idea of where drivers are currently standing and an idea of what the distance is between those drivers here. Nicholas Lavell down on the inside of Shawn Williams. Very, very close between these two drivers now as they work their way out of turn 2. Lavell pushing his way up into P9. Tracking his way to Thomas Sewell and James Miller now. You can also start to see Charles Jurek starting to work his way into the mix of things here. Lap 18 of 250. Right now, things are looking rather calm at this moment. And right now, I have to wonder if drivers are kind of putting themselves in a situation where they can conserve a little bit, save those tires and fuel, I guess, a little bit. And mostly tires, I would say, at this point, you know, knowing that drivers are going to be taking it around 90 to 100 laps before they come down into the pits for fuel. Well, that's quite a lengthy time. And frankly, I can't imagine that, you know, anyone is going to want to be rushing that here. Oh, Matthew Fitz, as he comes out of turn 2, gets that rear end just a little bit wobbly, keeping it together, though, as we continue along here. A lot of great driving here from our field, as Matthew Fitz, as well as the 9 of Patrick Colby, still duking it out here. Looking back up here with Shawn Williams and Thomas Sewell. Nicholas Lavell, he's managed to work his way around that number 89 and 77 car up into 8th place. Nicholas Lavell, he is charging his way through this field, trying to see if he can possibly come away with a win here and take away a win for the Crown Jewel. A feat that we have not yet seen completed here for this season. Now, again, we've only seen one Crown Jewel race, so not exactly like drivers have had multiple opportunities to be able to do so. So really, this is only the second time that we've seen really a chance for drivers to compete for something like this. And granted, there's only 5 drivers that are really necessarily able to compete for something like that. So again, it's kind of a mixed bag that we have here tonight out on the track as we continue along. Taking a look at the in-car camera of Daniel Mosteller back there in 14th right now. He's got Matthew Fitz as well as Patrick Colby duking it out just out in front of him. As we continue to look along here with as much of the action that we possibly can here at Iowa Speedway for the Heartland 250 for the 2022 VRL Cup Series. There you see Daniel Mosteller making a move there on Matthew Fitz. Or excuse me, that was Kevin Foster that he was able to get around there. But we're currently locked on with Tony Hilbrands on the main cameras, if you will. Jaden Hopp in the 81 car trying to trail his way to the rear of that number 92 car. And look at this, Jaden Hopp, or excuse me, Benny Hogan is the next driver looking to secure himself a win for tonight's race. Given again that there is a cash prize involved for winning if you are in contention for the Crown Jewel, if you were one of the 5 drivers that was listed earlier in the broadcast. So a lot of calm, steady action here. Looking at Cody Welch right now, duking it out still with Aaron Smith. Cody here, he is staying very calm, very steady. Let's actually take a moment to ride on board here with Cody Welch on the inside of that number 85 car. And let's have a listen here for just a moment and get an idea for what it's like on the inside of this number 85 here. Fantastic driving here from the 85 machine of Cody Welch. As we continue along here, like I said, there's kind of a lot of battles that are slowly forming amongst the field here. Let's go ahead and take another look at our track map, and that gives you a clearer picture of what's starting to happen here now that we're lap 30 of 250 here at Iowa Speedway. Drivers starting to find a little bit of separation, as it looks like there was a little bit of a slip-up just back towards the field, back towards Daniel Mosteller's position with Patrick Colby. But anyway, anyhow, now that we're starting to see the difference in time and in pace between our drivers start to really show here, as Benny Hogan, you can see a lot of these cars wanting to get sideways here coming out of turns 2 and 4. It's a very tricky track here at Iowa Speedway, and these drivers are handling it like professionals. Love to see it, and love to see all the battles that we have on the track currently, even despite, you know, how much distance is starting to form between some of these drivers. You know, we're starting to see kind of these little mini packs throughout the field here. But, ooh, man, a little bit of a shake there from that number 9 of Patrick Colby as he continues on here. We're looking at Charles Jurek as well as Thomas Sewell at this point in the race here. Looking at P10 right now, as Charles Jurek continues to hold on to that spot here. And, you know, frankly, a lot of the battles that we have forming out on track are very slow, very subtle, and take time to really build up here. So it's going to be interesting to see how long it takes before we start to see drivers really bring that aggression out, I guess you could say. You know, we really want to see some high-intensity action here in this race. And we've seen quite a bit of it here already, but I think it's only just begun, and it's only lap 35 now as the leader, Aaron Smith, crosses the line. And meanwhile, speaking of the leaders, we've got quite the battle happening here between Cody Welch as well as Aaron Smith as they continue on their battle here. That is not the correct one that I wanted there, folks. I do apologize. That's the one I was looking for. So right now, just trying to give everyone as much of a view of what's going on down on track here as much as possible here. So Aaron Smith, you know, he's doing a phenomenal job trying to stay in front of this field and keep that 85 car away from him. And you can see how much Cody is really giving him pressure here. He's really staying right in that tail of that number 70 car, you know, only getting away from him just every now and then in the turns. But frankly, Cody Welch doing a phenomenal job holding on to the second place spot and holding this gap the way that he has throughout this race here. So, but looking down in 13th right now, we've got quite the battle forming between Thomas Sewell, Patrick Colby, Daniel Mosteller, as these three drivers all pushing their way here. As we get an in-car camera view of the number 87 of Daniel Mosteller there on your right-hand side of your screen. You can see Thomas Sewell down on the inside as we head into turn 4. Oh, a little bit of contact there with Patrick Colby. Colby able to recover. He keeps it in on the track. Heading into turn 1 now. Oh, man, they're going 3 wide into 2. Out onto the back straightaway. Scott Shire wants some of the action here as well. Patrick Colby down on the inside once more. Daniel Mosteller going to try and hold it out there on the top line as they work their way out of 4 here once again onto the front curve. Oh, Colby, come on. Keep it together there, buddy. Patrick Colby now going to, oh, man, really. I'm almost half expecting a wreck to come out here, folks. This is getting quite tense between these three drivers as they head out of turn 4 here once again down the front curve. Scott Shire down on the inside with Thomas Sewell up on top. Patrick Colby right in the middle of this sandwich here, and they head their way down the back straightaway. And it looks like Colby's going to be the one successful, staying out on top of that. That is going to be curious. I am going to be very interested to see if Mr. Colby here is going to be able to hold on to that spot, because frankly it just looks like that number 4 car is just, or that number 9 machine, excuse me, is just absolutely struggling. It almost seems like in some of these situations, but we'll just have to wait and see. You know, it could have just been a couple hiccups here and there. But another interesting note that I should have mentioned earlier in the broadcast, but just kind of forgot. That's my bad. Anyway, anyhow, I don't have it available for us right now, but I was informed that, well, as per usual, Velocity Racing League, as this is a sim race, they usually try and model the weather based on what it is currently in real life, in accordance to wherever the track is. And so in today's case, in Iowa, around the track, there are winds of about 30 miles an hour. Yeah. So that's an interesting piece of information that I probably should have mentioned earlier, but that is also going to have a hindrance to some of our drivers here today. That is going to be another hurdle that these drivers are going to have to work over and try and work around here, as working around Benny Hogan, trying to hold on to that trying to get back into that top 5 place that he was in currently just a moment ago, duking it out with Tony Hillbrands down the front curve into turn 1. Benny Hogan with the line down up on the outside, actually. Out of turn 2, he goes down low. He's going to scrape doors with the 92 of Tony Hillbrands. Man, oh man, you can see the 09 of James Miller here as well, getting in on some of this action here. As we continue our way down turn 2, looking at Benny Hogan right now. Well, looking at Tony Hillbrands at this moment, but looking at Benny Hogan just up ahead of James Miller in that 09 car. But Benny Hogan here trying to get his way as far up this grid as he possibly can. And frankly, he might be able to pull it off here if he continues the pace that he has. And look at this. We missed it. I missed it, folks. I'm sorry. I wish I would have caught the pass here, but Cody Welch has made his way into first place. Aaron Smith now going to be sitting in second, trying to get his way up back into that first place spot here. Man, oh man, after a long fought battle up here into first place, you can see Jaden Hopsview in the number 81 machine sitting there in third place now as they work their way into turn 1. 85 machine now leading the race here at lap 50 of 250. Now that he's got into that clean air, the only objective for Cody is to stay there, build up that gap, and get himself ready for green flag pit stops when they come around, or just pit stops in general. I don't want to jinx anything though, so we're just gonna have to keep an eye on things and continue to see how things unfold. As a little bit of scraping and banging here amongst drivers here. Benny Hogan still with Tony Hillbrands. You know, these two drivers swapping back and forth, going back and forth between each other, trying to do all that they can here for this race. I mean, frankly, Benny Hogan, again, one of the other drivers among 5 that are competing for the Crown Jewel race. Again, that's Howie Briss, Michael Ashmore, Nicholas Lavell, James Coulibaly, and Benny Hogan. All 5 of those drivers are competing for the Crown Jewel, which is, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, if I remember correctly, it was $100 if you win the race. Now, that is easier said than done. Now, again, we've already seen one of these Crown Jewel races already this season, and no one was able to pull it off. And frankly, I'm going to be excited to see if anyone is going to be able to pull it off here as we continue on. Aaron Smith, he's got a little bit of a moment here in that number 70 car. Gets a little bit loose and finds himself almost bringing out the caution here. We're going to have to take a look at that here. So here we go. We're going to go ahead and get our Team Goon Squad instant replay up here and see exactly what unfolded here between Aaron Smith and Cody Welch. Might have just got loose all on his very own. Still waiting for it to happen. I might have went too far back. That is my apologies if I did. There's Jaden Hopp. Nope, not there. Was it the wall? Contact with the wall? I don't think so. Okay, never mind. We're going to have to just go back to the live action here, folks, because I didn't exactly get an exact position of when that happened here in timing and scoring. But anyhow, it's Tony Hillbrand's Aaron Smith both duking it out here. Tony Hillbrand's almost gets himself a little bit loose there, bringing himself back together as we continue on here. Taking a look at our Team Goon Squad multicam here once again. You can see Benny Hogan's view just on the bottom side at this moment. Oh man, and you can see actually Nicholas Lavell starting to give Benny Hogan a little bit of a hard time here as both of these drivers continue down the front curve heading into turn one. Nicholas Lavell not giving Benny any room here. Both of these drivers competing for that crown jewel, both wanting to come away with the win here and come away just a little bit richer as they work their way now out of turn four. Into turn four, excuse me, and out onto the front curve. Meanwhile, up front, James Miller and Howie Briss both duking it out side by side for just a moment as they come out of turn two and down the back straightaway. Howie Briss, the 97 car, one of the other 5 crown jewel drivers down on the inside of James Miller. He's going to push himself, try and crack his way back into the top 3 here, as right now the top 3 does not have any of the crown jewel contenders sitting in it at this point in time. Oh, Lavell. A little bit of a moment there for Lavell. Let's see exactly what unfolded here. Let's hope that this one is actually an accurate one for us here. All right, we're going to do this the old school way. We're going to bring it right on back. I believe he just got a little loose on his own. Yeah, indeed he did. So here we go. Oh, he actually didn't. He made a little bit of contact with Benny Hogan down the back straightaway. That's going to get him a little unsettled. Ultimately able to recover the car and get it back straight, back on the racetrack. No cautions come out of that one. So ultimately going to keep it here. But meanwhile, we've got a battle for the lead between Cody Welch, Jaden Hopp, duking it out here side by side for that first place spot, as they work their way heading into turn 2 and out onto the back straightaway. As they both continue on, Jaden Hopp here down on the inside. He's able to take advantage of that inside line and really show some speed there. Able to kick his way out in front of the 85 of Cody Welch here. Welch trying to do all that he can to answer back. Swapping places, dropping down to the inside, heading into turn 3. Oh, Welch. Oh, man, he felt that. Almost getting loose and away from him, keeping it together. Welch in the 85. Now going to have to recover all that time lost from that little bit of an incident there. But Cody, after leading quite a few laps here at Iowa Speedway, I do have a feeling that he's going to find himself back up there before too long. And frankly, I don't think it will be too long before Cody is back up there in that first place spot. But what I also am quite interested to see and am curious to see is how pit stop strategies are going to play out here. We've got a lot of very, very interesting strategies being played out here. And frankly, I'm not exactly certain how this is all going to work out. Right now we're on board with Benny Hogan. There you see in the in-car camera. Benny Hogan right now sitting in 8th place. Howie Briss sitting in 4th. Nicholas Lavell, he's back down in 12th place at this moment. So the Crown Jewel drivers were kind of spread out here amongst the field, but otherwise it's pretty well, I don't know. There's a lot of different things that you could do as far as pit stop strategy. I mean, you could take the undercut. You could, come in super early like Aaron Smith is doing right now. Take that undercut, come in early, stay out. Well, not stay out, but allow the field to kind of work their way around you. And then once the next pit stops come around, you're already ahead of the game. And Aaron Smith, in the position that he has been put in here, I think that he might be making the smart move here. I mean, it's really, really tough to kind of battle your way to the lead, on just raw driving alone. You have to take advantage of those pit stops. You really have to figure out what's the best thing that I can do here to get myself a comfortable chance, really, is the best way to describe it. So, a little bit early, I will admit, for Aaron Smith to come down there into the pits, but a few other drivers have already also come down into the pits, but I do believe that was due to one reason or another, spinning out or what have you. Patrick Colby, Thomas Sewell, Michael Ashmore, all of those drivers also came down into the pits here as well. Interestingly, Michael Ashmore, one of the other drivers that was competing for the Crown Jewel race here tonight, the Crown Jewel Challenge, finding himself down already a couple laps. Very, very unfortunate to see that here for Michael Ashmore, but that's racing for you, folks. I mean, things happen, and I'm not exactly certain what happened to Michael in that 98 machine, but I'm certain that whatever it was probably a big bummer for that 98 car, as, usually anything that happens to any driver in a race, virtual or real, usually not the greatest experience. But anyhow, as we continue along with our race here, as I was touching on just a moment ago, a little bit early for Aaron Smith to be coming down into the pits. Again, we were expecting lap 90 to 100 before we seen any drivers make their way down into pit road. But now that we are seeing at least some drivers entertain the thought here, as Charles Jurek, Tony Hilbrand's getting a little bit of contact between those two. Keeping it together. Oh, man, 3 wide here between Scott Shire, Tony Hilbrand, as well as Charles Jurek for just a moment there, it looked like. Tony Hilbrand staying right on top of things here, duking it out with Scott Shire. Here as we're looking at Scott Shire down on the inside right now, you can see his in-car camera on the bottom of your screen right now as well. Tony Hilbrand's doing a phenomenal job just trying to, well, Tony here, he's very, very good at consistency. I think Tony is a very consistent driver here in this series when he wants to be. Most of the time, when he puts himself in a spot, you don't really see him leave it. Not unless he wants to move up further, and when he's given the opportunity, he will definitely do so. So Tony, definitely one of the more patient drivers here, I would say, at least position-wise. Definitely not too eager to work their way up into the lead, because leading the race is always the hardest. As Shawn Williams, the number 89 car, starting to trail his way back to the rear end of Scott Shire and Tony Hilbrand's here. It's lap 77 of 250 here. A lot of calm and steady racing that we have here at this moment. As our field, fairly well, I would say, spread out here at this moment. There you go, down on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. You'll see it there. Just exactly what I mean, just how far spread these drivers are from one another, and just how difficult it can be to catch back up to any driver out in front of you. As you see Aaron Smith there sitting in 14, trying to unlap himself now that he's on those fresh set of tires. Gonna expect to see him setting down some pretty high, pretty quick lap times here. Looks like last time around he came across the line with a 24.98. Jaden Hopp in the lead right now. Came across the line the last time around with a 25.68. So you can already see that tire wear is starting to come into play here, and some drivers are starting to suffer from it. Oh man, Matthew Fitz here. Another driver that is a lap down here, duking it out there with Tony Hilbrand, trying to get himself unlapped. As again, we're going to start to see a lot of this kind of mixture of drivers that are down laps, that are on the lead lap, that need to go into the pits, that are coming out of the pits. It's going to be a very, very interesting scenario once we see that pit stop strategy start here, as James Coulibaly is going to be one of the next drivers to start it off here, coming down into pit lane, and going to be starting off his pit road here. Or pit strategy here, rather. 3 wide between Matthew Fitz, Charles Jurek, as well as the 97 of Howie Briss there for just a moment. Howie Briss, another driver. He's sitting in 4th place right now, and Howie, again, one of the crown jewel drivers here tonight. I think if he continues this pace, he really just has to get that pit stop down perfectly, as James Miller now going to be making his way down into pit road and getting that started here for them today, or for that 09 machine here today, for the first time, as I believe we will have at least 2 pit stops here today if all things go well and according to plan. And I do believe that things will go that way, as we've seen 84 green flag laps here at Iowa Speedway for the Heartland 250 for the VRL Cup Series. As we are on lap 84 of 250, getting ever so closer to that halfway mark in today's race. As Cody Welch going to be starting his pit stop here, making his way down into pit lane, as I just realized that I had my pit lane marker turned off there for a moment. Jaden Hopp also going to be starting his pit lane, or pit strategy here. I can't. Words are hard, folks. Sometimes English is just too much. Anyway, Charles Jurek, looks like Scott Shire taking the lead here, with Charles Jurek going to be sitting in 2nd place, as our pit stop's going to be unfolding here and taking place here at this time. So as that is underway and drivers are beginning to kind of cycle their way through pit road here, you can get an idea of what pit lane is looking like right now, down on the bottom right hand side of your screen. As we continue on with the action, looking at Charles Jurek and Scott Shire. Going to see when these drivers are going to come down into pit lane Looks like from Scott Shire all the way down to Tony Hilbrand's in 9th place, all of these 9 drivers are all going to have to come down into the pits before too long, and it looks like Howie Briss is going to be the next driver to do so in the 97 machine as he works his way down there into pit road. So pit stops slowly but surely unfolding here, and not really in the way that I was expecting, and a lot earlier than I was expecting here as well. So kind of interesting to see that. You know, you never really get an idea of when drivers are going to come down. It's usually a secret amongst the teams, amongst the drivers, that you don't really want to share that. You know, it's not exactly common knowledge when everyone is going to come down into the pits. You have an idea, you have a rough guess, but when exactly? Yeah, well, that's the gotcha part. But anyhow, as we look at Daniel Mosteller, Charles Jurek, Scott Shire, oh man, there's a gaggle of cars up here. Daniel Mosteller going to be pinched in between, it looks like, James Miller in the 09 as well as Shawn Williams in the 89 machine as they continue on here. You know, pit stops here really, again, not unfolding the way that I was expecting them to, but the driver that's going to come out on top of all of that is going to be, in fact, Aaron Smith. Once everything is said and done, once the rest of the field has made their way down into pit lane, that's going to be it. That is going to be Aaron Smith's race from that point. The number 70 machine is going to have it in the bag. And right now, it does not look like he has much competition forming up behind him. Between Aaron Smith and Jaden Hopp, it's, well, about 7.5 seconds between these two drivers. So Jaden Hopp has quite the distance to close to be able to get back up to the number 70 machine. But thinking back here just a little bit ago, Aaron Smith did come down into the pits a lot earlier than the rest of our field here. Lap 67 was when we saw Aaron work his way down into pit lane. So, you know, there could very well be a possibility that, I don't know, Aaron might have made a mistake coming down early. Maybe it was too early. We'll just have to wait and see. Because right now, Aaron, and even as I say that, wow, actually, Nicholas Lavell, Benny Hogan, both crown jewel drivers here tonight coming down into pit lane, gonna be assuming a new fresh set of tires as well as some fuel for the remainder of the race here today. As we're looking at Scott Shire taking the lead, and Cody Welch, you can see just behind that number 4 car of Scott Shire as they cross the line here. So, right now, folks, ooh, man, Cody, you can see those fresh tires really in action here as he works his way around Scott Shire down on the inside of turn 3 and out of 4 with nothing but clean air in front of him. So, Cody now, he's got to get himself back up here competing with James Miller in the 09 machine, who's just about 2.5 seconds between them. Here as he works his way down the back straightaway. But if he keeps hitting the wall like that, scraping the wall, that's gonna, well, that'll come down a lot faster than he would probably hope to. But lap 96 of 250 here at Iowa Speedway for the Heartland 250. Charles Jurek now going to be making his way down into pit lane as really this has been a very calm, very steady race here. And frankly, I couldn't ask for anything better. This has been a great green flag race here thus far. And I'm interested to see where this field is going to end up here once green flag pit stops are all said and done. As, you know, again, oh man, look at this bundle of cars here. Shawn Williams, the 89 car, getting a little bit of action here. Howie Briss, the 97, trying to work his way back up here to the lead lap. Working his way around the number 9 of Patrick Colby. Now Howie Briss going to be sitting in 8th place at this point in time. And Shawn Williams, who we're currently locked on with, is in second place at this point in time. Now, Shawn Williams has not come down into pit road yet. Scott Shire, as well as Daniel Mosteller, have not come down into pit road yet to get those fresh set of good gears, get that fuel tank filled up to where it needs to be. So these guys are going to be able to stay out the longest next time around, and here goes Shawn Williams, the 89 car, right on cue, making his way down into pit lane here, and that's going to start his first pit cycle here tonight. So great to see that. There we see Shawn Williams on the bottom right-hand side of our screen making his way into pit road. And once he comes out, you can see that left side going up now. Going to get those new set of tires on there. You know, one thing that iRacing I wish they would maybe attempt to do in the future, as Scott Shire makes his way down into pit lane now here as well. You know, I really, really wish that they would attempt to try and show the pit crew for all of the drivers. I feel like they don't ever do that unless it's your car and your pit crew. It'd be cool if you could see other drivers. I get that it's kind of a demanding task on any computer to do something like that, because they are virtual assets, and virtual assets take up, well, physical bits and things on your... Anyway, anyhow, nerd stuff. Continuing on with our race here, you can see Scott Shire there down in pit road in that number 4 car as he makes his way out of pit road. So, looks like everyone except for Daniel Mosteller as he comes down into pit road now, and that's going to give Aaron Smith the lead here once again. Once he crosses the line, it'll be lap 104 of 250 here for the Heartland 250 at Iowa Speedway. And now that all of our drivers have made their way through pit road, have taken that pit cycle, and really have kind of posed an interesting race here, we're going to go ahead and we're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we will have more of the Heartland 250 right here on Team Goon Squad for the 2022 VRL Cup Series. Stay tuned, don't go anywhere, and we will be back for more iRacing right here on Team Goon Squad. And welcome back, folks, to the Heartland 250, as we are currently looking at Aaron Smith we thought was in the lead before we took commercial break, but we're back now, and Jaden Hopp is sitting in the front in first place here, lap 110 of 250. Now, we had a great question come in the chat. How do you become one of the drivers for the Crown Jewel? Dawn Hillbrand's with that question. Thank you, Dawn, for that. And to answer that question, so to be eligible for the Crown Jewel race here in the VRL Cup Series, it's very simple, actually. The only thing that you have to do is finish in the top 5 of the previous Crown Jewel race. So, if you finished in the top 5 of that race, you are eligible to be in, well, you are eligible for the next Crown Jewel Challenge. But you also must have ran 85% of all races. If not, the next highest finisher in the previous Crown Jewel Challenge race will be eligible. And if you win, you get $100. And get this, if a driver wins 4 out of the 5 Crown Jewel Challenge races, they will win an extra $100. Now, again, we've already seen 1 Crown Jewel race here for the season. I don't know for certain if anyone is going to be able to pull off that accomplishment. That seems like a heck of an accomplishment to pull off, but I don't know. Maybe there is a driver here that might be able to pull something like that off here. But right now, looking at things currently as they're stacked up, the field is doing a phenomenal job. I mean, we've got drivers kind of all over the place right now, but we've got some pretty tight battles starting to form between a good chunk of our field here at this time. So great to see some of the action that we have here here at this moment. As we're looking at an in-car camera view of the 89 car, or excuse me, the number 9 of Patrick Colby. You can see him duking it out there with Thomas Sewell just behind the 89 car of Shawn Williams. And look at that, we were almost 3 wide there between these 3 drivers. Patrick Colby, Thomas Sewell, Nicholas Lavell. You can see Benny Hogan as well just behind them in the mix here as they work their way into turn 1. Out of turn 2 and down the back straightaway. Nicholas Lavell on the charge here, trying to get his way up this field, sitting in 10th place right now. Man, it has been a fight for all of these drivers, and frankly, for a race like this, you would almost, as a driver, be hoping for a caution or two, you know, to be able to get the field stacked back up, be able to get those restarts in. Because as much as, you know, maybe as a viewer, maybe as a driver, you know, like cautions, I mean, even as a broadcaster, cautions definitely can get a little wearisome, you know. You start to get to that point where it's like, okay, let's have some green flag runs here. No matter where you are in the race, you know, again, driver, spectator, or commentator. I mean, it goes for everyone. But needless to say, for the race to have gone green flag this entire time, and you know, drivers having to really try and dig deep and do everything that they can to get anything here, get any positions that they possibly can. It's tough. This track is not easy by any stretch of the imagination. And frankly, watching these drivers, oh man, Shawn Williams, Charles Jurek, all here in the gaggle of cars. Kevin Foster as well, kind of getting in the mix here. As we continue along, lap 120 of 250, we are just a few laps away before we reach that halfway mark here in today's race. And a lot of really great driving that we're seeing out of our field here today. I'd like to take this moment to thank everyone for tuning in and joining us here tonight and watching 2022 VRL Cup Series Heartland 250. And if you've enjoyed the action that you've seen here tonight, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, as this has been quite the action that we've had here. And it's also the first time for at least myself. I'm not sure if this is the first time for Team Goon Squad in general, but this is the first time that we've had a multi-camera setup here for a broadcast, and hopefully that it's, bringing a little bit more interesting perspectives here into the race, as normally we only have this one beautiful view that you're seeing on your screen currently, which has served us for quite some time now. But now that we have, upgraded, you could say, in terms of, just how we do things here at Team Goon Squad, we now have the opportunity to give you beautiful pictures like you are seeing here now. As right now, we're still looking at drivers just pacing right now, really just pacing. It's still early in the race, kind of. We're just about to that halfway mark. Once we cross the checkered line, it will be that halfway point in today's race. So again, kind of some very, very calm and very steady driving that we're seeing out of our field here today. And again, like I was mentioning just a little bit ago, the fact that we haven't had any yellow flags here in this race it makes it even tougher for our crown jewel drivers, for our drivers that are trying to compete for points. I mean, Howie Briss, he's also one of the crown jewel drivers, but he's also the leader in the championship. So, for Howie Briss to be sitting in 4th place right now, but he's also looking at nearly 6.5 seconds between himself and Aaron Smith, that is a tall, tall order. Now we're on lap 126 of 250. It's still a very long race before we see the end, and anything can happen between that time. So I wouldn't exactly say that Howie is out of, any of these drivers are, out of the picture for anything. I think anything could still happen, and it's just yet to come. So we're going to continue on. We're going to keep looking at what we can see, and possibly, hopefully, see some interesting action begin to develop here between our drivers, as right now, again, just a lot of just keeping it green, keeping it steady out there, and just clicking off laps. Aaron Smith coming down into the pits here, lap 129 of 250. If you'll remember, he came down into the pits lap 70 first time around. So again, kind of taking that a little bit of an undercut here. He's going to come down into the pits for his second time of the race. And now that I'm thinking about it, there might be a third pit stop here for that number 70 car. I'm thinking that he's going to have another pit stop in his future, and that also makes me wonder if there's going to be a third one for other drivers. If you're Scott Shire, or if you're Daniel Mosteller, who decided to come down into the pits over lap 100, theoretically you should be able to make it a 2-stop race. But if you're Aaron Smith, who just came in lap 129, I don't know. That almost makes me believe he's going to have to force himself into a 3-stop strategy, and that might hurt him. That might be the end. That might be the final nail in the coffin for the 70 Machines race here, if that is correct. I could be wrong in that, and I certainly hope that I am, but just from looking at things and the way they are currently, that seems to be the case here. As Daniel Mosteller going to be duking it out here with Nicholas Lavell, as well as Kevin Foster up on top. Here as these drivers all swooping their way into turn 1. Great driving here from Nicholas Lavell. Man, oh man, down the back straightaway. Kevin Foster leading this pack here with Daniel Mosteller trying to get his way down onto the inside now. There you can see on the bottom right-hand side of your screen Nicholas Lavell's perspective. Now, I know that for any of the drivers watching and are a bit confused by the paint schemes that are being displayed on both of our views here, I apologize. It will be fixed for next time. Don't worry about it. It'll be all right. Anyhow, I just wanted to point that out in case any of the drivers were like, hey, that's not right. Anyway, James Miller now coming down here into pit road as we continue along with Daniel Mosteller, Kevin Foster, and Nicholas Lavell in the in-car camera on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. And you can see just how much input that Nicholas Lavell has given to that 10 machine and just how difficult it is to keep a car like this around track here at Iowa. You can see it bouncing and shaking all around. Oh, man, look at the oversteer. Some of these drivers are beginning to start their second pit stops here already, which frankly I'm still kind of curious about, and I'm curious as far as how this is going to play out here for our field, and particularly looking at Howie Briss right now, who's sitting in second place. Howie with Jaden Hopp sitting, oh, wow, actually I just now noticed the gap. I actually want to share this with you folks. Take a look at this. Between Jaden Hopp and Howie Briss, almost 12 3/4 of a second separates these two drivers. That is a heck of a gap. Now, again, we still have another pit stop here that we're going to see, and drivers are going to make their way down into the pits, and that's going to kind of close things back up here between our drivers. Or we could even see Howie Briss pull off an Aaron Smith and come down into the pits early and say, you know what, I'm taking your lead away, and that's going to be the end of it. That is also a very, very good possibility. We'll just going to have to wait and see, folks. Anything could possibly happen here between our field. And right now, as it's lap 140 of 250, I got to say, this has been quite the action that we've seen unfold here. As Kevin Foster is now going to dive his way down into the pits here. You also got Michael Ashmore, the 98 car, making his way down into pit road. We're checking back in here with Shawn Williams and Charles Jurek. Matthew Fitz, a little bit of a scrape there out of turn 2, keeps it together down the back straightaway. Shawn Williams holding on to 4th place now at this moment. Going to be doing all that he can right now. Still looking with Shawn Williams here. You can see Charles Jurek down on the bottom right-hand side of your screen in that 89, or excuse me, the 76 machine. A little bit of a fall off there from the 76, but lap 142 of 250, folks. And right now, Jaden Hopp is, you know, I would be a little bit nervous. I mean, he's got gap. He's got a great lead right now, but that lead could easily be taken away in just a moment just by a mess up down in the pits. Anything. There is plenty of things that could happen here to any of these drivers for that matter. So here as we look with Shawn Williams and Charles Jurek in that number 76 machine, we're going to take a moment here. Let's go ahead and ride on board here with Charles Jurek for just a moment and get an idea of what it's like here At lap 145 here at Iowa Speedway, from the perspective of the 76 of Charles Jurek. Let's take a moment and take a few laps around with Charles. Great driving here from Charles Jurek in the number 76 machine. Here is Daniel Mosteller trying to work his way up into the top 5. Down the back straightaway, you can see both of those cars getting a little bit loose there. So right now, looking at the season at this moment, Howie Briss, who still holds on to the championship lead with 1,873 points. Tony Hilbrand's just 102 points behind him in second place. Nicholas Lavell 120 points behind in third. So Howie Briss sitting in second right now, going to be looking to try and take away possibly at least a podium. I mean, Howie Briss, you know, either way, if he comes away with a podium, it's going to help him in the championship. If he comes away with a win, it's going to help him in the championship, and he gets money for it. So, I mean, that's a win-win right there. I mean, I don't know what else you can ask for as a driver right there. I mean, you win a race and you get paid for it. I mean, normally in real-life racing, that's what happens, but for sim racing, that's like, oh, that's a cool deal. Anyway. So right now, our field relatively scattered between drivers that are on, well, depending on where they sit in positions, they're fairly scattered out. We're not seeing a whole lot of close battles between any drivers here at this point in time. We got a couple drivers that have made their way down into pits. Patrick Colby just made his way out. Michael Ashmore still down in pit road here, actually. I'm not sure if that's going to be the end of his race, as he's been in there since lap 134, so just over 20 laps now that he's been down there in pit lane. So I have a feeling that is going to be the end of the 98 Machines race here today, as James Coulibaly going to be duking it out here with Tony Hilbrands for 11th as they work their way out of the front curve down into turn 1. We got a little bit of action forming up and just ahead of Tony Hilbrands between Aaron Smith, Benny Hogan, as well as Jaden Hopp. You're looking at the in-car camera of Kevin Foster on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. A little bit of a wobble from Benny Hogan and Jaden Hopp down the back straightaway. Keeping it together for both of these drivers. Benny Hogan still trying to get his way back up to the top of the field. Man, oh man. And as the sun begins to set here at Iowa, the track conditions only seem to get more and more interesting here, you know. Oh man, heading down the back into turn 3 right now. You can see Nicholas Lavell sitting in that 7th place spot at this moment. Going to be holding off Aaron Smith here before too long. And we can see drivers just moving and sliding all over the place. Everywhere we look, it seems like there's someone getting a little spicy somewhere or another. Oh man, who's this back here? The 8 machine. Kevin Foster. The front right of that number 8 car is absolutely crushed. And there is no caution in sight. The green flag is still out. We are still racing here. Kevin Foster, as he quickly limps his way down into pit lane, only just barely able to turn that machine down into pit road here. Oh man, almost colliding with the barrier there. Man, oh man, Kevin Foster with quite a run there. That, unfortunately, is probably going to be the end of the number 8 machine's race here tonight. So now as we're on lap 162 of 250, and still not a caution in sight. This field really can only just expect and wait for pit stop strategies to play out and ultimately see where they place themselves at the end of the day. I mean, this is just going to be very, very tough, I think, for a lot of this field. Yeah, a lot of this action is fairly well scattered out here as well. Taking a look at your track map down in the bottom right-hand side of your screen, the little numbers are indicating position this time around instead of car numbers. So you can see just what I mean when these drivers are spread out. I mean, you have them all over the place. Look at first place and then look at second place. They are practically halfway across the track from each other here at this point in the race. And like I was saying earlier, excuse me, unless we see a caution, we're really not going to see this field get stacked back up. We're really not going to be able to see these drivers put a lot of pressure onto one another. I mean, it's going to be some pretty, oh man, beating and banging between Tony Hilbrands and Charles Jurek. Charles Jurek gets the worst of it as he grinds the wall out of turn 1 and 2 and down the back straightaway. And look at that number 76 car. That number 76 machine definitely looks like it has seen better days. Here as Benny Hogan now going to be working his way down into pit lane here, and going to be starting his pit stop strategy, or well, I believe second pit stop. Yes, his second pit stop here of the race, and his final one, if I am not mistaken, here as well. So great to see a lot of our field starting to get themselves ready for the end of this race here. Now, Aaron Smith, he came in lap 128. Now, I was wondering if he's going to have to make this a 3-stop strategy here for himself tonight. I almost had a feeling that might have been the case here, but I'm not exactly 100% certain if that's going to be true here. So we'll just have to keep an eye on that. We're going to pay as close attention to that as we possibly can here. As right now, I mean, a lot of this field, again, very, very well spread out. Not a whole lot of pressure being applied to any of our drivers here at this point, it looks like. And look at this, Jaden Hopp making his way down into the pits here for the very first, well, for the second time here of the race. I don't know why I keep saying very first for whatever reason. Jaden Hopp here making his way down into the pits, and that's going to toss up the lead to Howie Briss. Howie Briss also going to be expected to come down into the pits here before too long. And that will begin the second pit stop here for the number 97 machine here today. Now, looking back to the last race that we saw that was for points, Aaron Smith was able to come away with the win at Chicagoland, with Nicholas Lavell in second and Nick Nickerson taking home third. And right now, it's a completely different shakeup here than what we saw for that race here. So, and again, Chicagoland, not Iowa. Definitely two different tracks, not the same in the slightest. So, can't really use those as a great comparison, but it definitely shows you just how different the field can be track to track. It's really interesting how strong some drivers are in one track and how not strong some drivers are at others. It's a very interesting balance that we see here throughout the leagues and throughout the series that we cover here on Team Goon Squad. As it's lap 173 of 250 here. Shawn Williams sitting in that third place spot. Howie Briss again holding on to first place with Scott Shire in second. Just about 2 seconds behind him as Jaden Hopp trying to get himself unlapped here around the leader. Jaden Hopp also just came down into the pits a little while ago, lap 169. So he's going to be on those fresher tires. He's going to be able to work his way around Howie Briss and try and get himself back up to, well, to the lead lap at the very least, and hopefully be able to get himself back up competing for a podium position or a top 5, whatever the case may be here, that Jaden Hopp might be hoping for. As we've seen quite the competition out of that 81 car, so I wouldn't exactly be too surprised if we see Jaden work his way back up to the front. Daniel Mosteller, meanwhile, getting a little bit unsteady down the back straightaway out of turn 2. We've seen drivers do that here time and time again, so I wouldn't be surprised if that's what we see here. I mean, all the way until the checkered flag, to be frank. James Coulibaly going to be making his way down into pit road here now. Still awaiting Howie Briss to make his second pit stop here of the night. And I have a feeling that for Howie, he is planning on making this his second and final pit stop of the race here tonight. Again, Aaron Smith, who we saw come in rather early, one of the only drivers that I think may have to come down a third time to be able to make it to the very end of this race here tonight. There you can see on the bottom right-hand side of your screen, that's Daniel Mosteller right now, sitting in fourth place. gives you an idea of just how difficult it is here at Iowa Speedway to keep these cars together. It is truly a handful, to say the least. As this race really has been something to witness here. You know, we've seen 181 laps of green flag runs here, of a green flag stint here for these drivers, and 2 green flag pit stops. That is just incredible. Absolutely incredible for this series, for just racing in general. That is not an easy feat to make here. James Miller, meanwhile, down the back straightaway, he was getting a little bit loose, a little unsteady. Able to recover it, cover it, keep it together. There, okay. All right, we're looking all right here again. Aaron Smith, meanwhile, Tony Hillbrand's a driver sitting in 9th place right now, trying to keep himself from getting lapped here. Look at Aaron Smith. Just look at Aaron Smith. Let's actually take a look at his in-car camera here as well. Look at how much he is fighting that 70 machine right now. Just trying to keep the pace up with the driver just ahead of him with just slightly fresher tires. Aaron Smith came into the pits lap 128. Tony Hillbrand's lap 135. And you can see the number 12 machine as well, James Coulibaly, one of the other 5 crown jewel drivers here in this event, sitting in 15th at this point in time, and frankly probably, again, one of many drivers that are probably hoping for a restart at some point or another during this race, as again, this has just been a solid run here for all of our drivers, as Aaron Smith now making his way down into the pits for the 3rd time here in this race. But this is kind of interesting here, folks, because Aaron Smith, you know, you might be thinking to yourself, man, you came into the pits 3 times for this race. What are you thinking there? Well, I can tell you what he's probably thinking. Because this is the last time that Aaron Smith is going to have to come down into the pits. And there's a few other factors here that are going to help the 70s case. Now, I'll admit, and I'm sure if you go back in the broadcast, you'll hear it, I doubted. I had a little bit of doubt for Aaron Smith that he might not have been able to retake that lead, be able to get back up there into the lead after just some questionable decisions for pit stop strategy. But now that he's made his way out of the pits and back onto track, and Howie Briss here just now working his way down into pit road, I don't know. Things are looking a little different out here for a lot of these drivers here. And right now, Aaron Smith looks to be the driver that has kind of really, well, I don't want to say taken advantage, but he's really exemplified here. He's really excelled here in tonight's race as far as pit strategy. I mean, again, it's just one of those things that you don't really expect to see it. But when you do, it's just like, oh, wow, that's an interesting strategy. I wish I would have thought of that. But anyhow, I mean, it's just great to see the different strategies that we have here throughout the field. And just getting an opportunity to see all those play out. Looking at our in-car camera with Benny Hogan at this moment. He's duking it out with Thomas Sewell in the number 77 car, as Benny Hogan just out in front of Thomas Sewell. Or excuse me, that wasn't Benny Hogan in front of Thomas Sewell. I had a different driver there. Anyhow, oh, look at this gaggle of cars here between Nicholas Lavell, Thomas Sewell, and James Coulibaly. All 3 of these drivers going to be fighting for, looks like 11th place. Nicholas Lavell holding on to that 11th place spot here at this point in time. Charles Jurek coming down here into the pits. That's going to be his second and final stop here of the night. Scott Shire, Jaden Hopp, Shawn Williams are all that are left to make their way down into the pits and begin their last and final. Oh, the caution! The yellow flag is out! Not exactly certain what has unfolded here. Looks like possibly an issue with Charles Jurek. We're going to take this back one more time and see if we can find out what unfolded here for Mr. Charles. I can't seem to find where this incident took place. Okay. All right. Well, I don't exactly have, I'm not certain where that caution came from. I don't know if there was a wreck that occurred. I can't seem to find anything that's indicating that to me. But anyway, anyhow, that is quite the shakeup here for our entire field here. This is exactly what I'm certain a lot of these drivers were probably hoping for. This caution to come out midway through the race, or at really any point in the race, and restack the field and give drivers a real opportunity to fight for positions, as this has just been essentially a 192 lap just stint, you could think of it almost. So as the field here is going to get themselves racked up, restorted back behind the pace truck, and getting ready to go here for our next run here, and probably the last one of the night. We're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break up here in the booth, and when we come back, we will have more coverage of the Heartland 250 here with VRL Cup Series. Stay tuned and don't go anywhere, and we'll be back for more iRacing right here on Team Goon Squad. And welcome back, folks, to the Heartland 250 here at Iowa Speedway with the VRL Cup Series. My name is Mason Heimbaugh with Team Goon Squad. If you're just now joining us, welcome and thank you for tuning in to the action here, as it is lap 196 of 250. It is the first caution of the race here. Before we went to our commercial break, I was just saying, we had quite the green flag run. We saw over, it was actually 192 laps that we saw under green flag conditions out of the 250 laps that we have here today. So absolutely incredible. I mean, the fact that drivers went that long without bringing a caution out, I mean, it's phenomenal. At a track like Iowa, it's so easy, I would say, to have these sort of situations happen. But these drivers, again, they've just handled it like absolute professionals and have done just an incredible job in this race. Now, if you were not here towards the beginning of the broadcast, or if you're just tuning in, like I mentioned just a little bit ago, actually, more on that in just a moment, as the pace truck is back down into the pits. We're going to see the green flag fly once again here with Scott Shire. Jaden Hopp in the lead here. Folks, this is what we have been waiting for. A chance to see exactly what is going to unfold here for our drivers. We're looking at James Coulibaly's perspective in the bottom right-hand side of your screen in the in-car camera. We're heading down the back straightaway. Scott Shire down on the inside. Shawn Williams trying to find some room here with Benny Hogan as well on top of him as they head out of turn 4. Benny Hogan trying to do all that he can here. Sitting in 7th place right now. Benny Hogan is actually a lap down. Oh, a little bit of a wobble there as he comes down the back straight here. Once again, Benny Hogan going to be trying to, I mean, this is a tough break here for Benny Hogan. I mean, to be put in this situation, what can you do? What can you do? It is absolutely crushing to be in a situation like this. But look at this. Howie Briss sitting in 6th place right now, and he's got all of these drivers in front of him. I mean, we've got just a gaggle of cars around this track at this moment. Nicholas Lavell gets a little bit of a tap. Looks like from Patrick Colby in that number 9 machine, keeping it together. Howie Briss, it looks like, is the closest driver here to be able to come away with a win here as the crown jewel driver, but we're just going to have to wait and see if he's going to be able to pull it off here. A little bit of stiff competition down the back straightaway. Patrick Colby giving him a little bit of trouble here. Man, oh man, as this is quite the battle unfolding here between these drivers. The top 3 is kind of all sorts of confusing. Jaden Hopp is currently our leader. Shawn Williams, Daniel Mosteller currently 2nd and 3rd. As we see Benny Hogan and Tony Hilbrand just in front of them, trying to get themselves unlapped here and back up to a fighting position here in this race. Lap 203 of 250. And I think this is exactly the restart that these drivers were, well, maybe not exactly, but hopefully close enough here as we continue on. I mean, this is all but heating up here for our drivers. We have the in-car camera view of Scott Shire in the number 4 car, sitting in 4th place here at this moment. Still looking at Daniel Mosteller in the number 3rd place at this moment in the 87 machine. Lap 205 of 250 here. You know, we've seen a lot of drivers getting a little unsteady here and there, but with these in-car cameras, it hopefully gives you folks at home an idea of just how good these guys actually are. Guys and gals. I don't believe the two ladies that do perform here with VRL are here today. That being Ashley Molyneux and oh, she's gonna be so mad at me if Caitlin Height. There we go. I didn't forget you. Anyhow, all of these drivers doing a phenomenal job here, and you know, just again, these in-car cameras all give you a really great idea of what it's like behind the wheel. I mean, you have to really be behind the wheel to truly understand what it's like to take a lap around Iowa Speedway here in Anarca. But it definitely does help with the image. Great battles forming here between these drivers. We're looking at Daniel Mosteller, Shawn Williams duking it out for first place. And I mean, you got Scott Shire Oh, so it's Shawn Williams, Scott Shire, as well as Daniel Mosteller all battling it up here. Scott Shire just kind of trailing on towards the back here. You can see in his in-car camera there on the bottom of our screen here. And as we just cross the line, it's going to be 42 laps. 42, that's not right. No, it is right. 42 laps, I think, is right. Anyway, before we see the checkered flag fly here, and frankly, with pit stops all being done here, I'm not certain how this is going to unfold here for our drivers. I mean, right now, Jaden Hopp is sitting with a comfortable gap between himself and Shawn Williams with about 3.5 seconds. You can see, you can just barely see that number 81 car just starting to get away from this pack of cars that we're locked on with here currently as we continue on, heading our way down the front straightaway here. So still very calm, very steady driving from, oh man, a lot of our field here. Tony Hilbrand's getting awfully close to the rear end of the 09 of James Miller there for just a moment. Checking himself up. He saw that one coming. He definitely didn't want to bring another caution out here, but doing a phenomenal job nonetheless as he continues to trail along behind the 09 of James Miller. Lap 213 of 250. I mean, just look at this this bundle of cars that we have here. Taking a look at the in-car camera of Daniel Mosteller. You can see him duking it out here with Tony Hilbrand's. Again, Tony Hilbrand's in that 8th place spot here. Just trying to keep himself from going any further laps down than he already is here at this point in the race. And it's tough. It's extremely tough to get that back here with just under 40 laps left to go here in the race. But Daniel doing a phenomenal job here, holding on to his 3rd place position at this moment. And Shawn Williams, you can see, is starting to get a little bit of distance separated between himself. And a lot of this lap traffic here isn't helping these drivers here as well that are on that lead lap, trying to get themselves up here towards the front of the field. I mean, it's extremely tough to do that, especially when you're looking at less than 40 laps left to go. But looking at Aaron Smith right now, battling with Howie Briss. And Howie Briss, you know, again, the other driver, really the only driver thus far that has really shown a real, oh, Aaron Smith, he gets a little bit of a tap there with the wall. Almost loses control of that 70, keeps it together. Very great work there from Aaron Smith, keeping that together. But back to my point, Howie Briss, frankly, the only driver that we've seen here out of the Crown Jewel drivers that has been in the top 5 and really has had any chance at coming away with even a podium or top 5 here at this point. Nicholas Lavell trying to trail his way back up here into the mix of things, but he's going to be in 10th place and down a lap as well. So Not exactly ideal here for Nicholas Lavell. You can see on the left-hand side of your screen now. To give everyone a better idea of who is exactly all on the lead lap still, and it's going to be a grand total of 6 drivers here at this point. And that just goes to show you, folks, just how spread out a field can get when you have green flag runs like that, you know, and the racing just doesn't stop. It just goes and goes and goes. Man, really interesting how that plays out. But Aaron Smith here trying to do all that he can here after that first caution came out. First and only caution here thus far. But sitting in 6th place at this moment, you know, he played a very interesting strategy in the pits. It was really tough to say whether or not we were going to see Aaron Smith pull it off and be able to work his way back up, you know, kind of towards the top here. But it's a bold strategy. It's definitely a bold strategy, and I don't know if it paid off for him. I really can't. It's too hard to say right now at this point in time. Here as we get an in-car camera view of Scott Shire's number 4 machine. Scott sitting in 4th place here at this moment, ironically. And once we cross the line next time around, it'll be 25 laps left to go here at Iowa Speedway for the Heartland 250 for the 2022 VRL Cup Series. Very calm out there on track right now. As far as battles are concerned, there's really not a whole lot of battling happening right now. We got Tony Hillbrands and Charles Jurek duking it out. We also have Shawn Williams and Daniel Mosteller, who are both very close to one another here as well. But frankly, most of this field, you're either behind a driver who's down a lap or you're on the lead lap and trying to get yourself back up to the driver ahead of you who's worked his way up 5+ seconds. Jaden Hopp right now is actually starting to lose pace between Shawn Williams at this moment, as Shawn Williams getting right behind the 5 of Benny Hogan, getting a little bit of draft worked up there, I'd have to imagine, and slowly building up that speed and momentum to be able to possibly catch up here to the 81 of Jaden Hopp. But that's going to be a tough one to be able to pull off here. We're getting a good view here of Shawn Williams working his way around Benny Hogan, trying to get that clean air out in front of him and be able to get away from Daniel Mosteller, who currently sits in 3rd place here at this point in the race. Mosteller with a little bit of a wall snag out of turn 2. That's going to scrape some paint off the side of that 87 machine here as we work our way out of turn 4, down the front straightaway. 21 laps left to go here at Iowa Speedway. Daniel Mosteller down on the inside. Coming out of turn 2 and down the back straightaway. Mosteller shuffling back behind the 89 of Shawn Williams here. 19 laps left to go, and Jaden Hopp. At this point, you know, I really wasn't expecting Jaden to pull off what he's done here tonight, but he has done it with ease. As Michael Ashmore going to be working his way down into the pits now. Here for whatever strange reason. But anyway, anyhow. So we got the in-car camera of Daniel Mosteller down on the bottom of our screen. And up on top, we're looking at Charles Jurek in 9th place right now with Tony Hilbrands, and you can see Scott Shire just ahead of them in 4th place at this moment. So again, just back to my point earlier, you know, we're seeing some fairly well spread out field here at this point in time, and it's really, really tough to, as a driver, to be able to bring that pace down, or well, bring that pace up and bring the gap down, if you will. But as we enter 16 laps left to go here, folks, the time is ticking away for these drivers. And frankly, the battles that we have forming out on track right now, I mean, they're going to get wrapped up here very, very shortly. You can see it on the bottom of our screen there just a moment ago. Daniel Mosteller getting a little bit of a wall grab there as he came out of turn 2. Pulled it together very nicely, though, keeping himself together here. Tony Hilbrand sitting in 8th place right now, trying to pull away from Charles Jurek here at this point in the race. And just looking at Jaden Hopp here, after he's done a phenomenal job here in this race and has led quite a few laps and has shown some incredible pace throughout the night. Look at this, Daniel Mosteller able to work his way into 2nd place around Shawn Williams in the 89. Shawn Williams going to try and find an answer back here. The number 89 machine getting a little wobbly there. As these two continue to duke it out. Both doing an incredible job here. Meanwhile, Scott Shire with the in-car camera. We've seen just a moment on getting a little bit wobbly there, but he's got Benny Hogan on his outside at this moment. But with 11 laps left to go here, folks, this is where things are, this is where the intensity gets up. This is where the fire starts burning, so to speak. And after 240 laps of just absolutely intense racing here, I can't imagine that these drivers here want to go much longer before they see that checkered flag. Here we see Tony Hilbrand's Charles Jurek. Charles Jurek, who we are riding with the in-car camera on the bottom right-hand side of your screen there. Coming into turn 4, they get a little bit of contact between them. Man, oh man. Tony Hilbrand's Charles Jurek almost had quite the incident there able to collect themselves together and continue on with their race here. Tony Hilbrand sitting in that 8th place spot right now. He's got the 97 of Howie Briss just behind him. Howie Briss in that 5th place spot at this moment. It's 6 laps left to go here, folks. And right now, Jaden Hopp, oh man, Daniel Mosteller, he just cannot seem to get away from that wall coming out of turn 2. He just, man, it seems to be a magnet for him. Here with 5 laps left to go, that's all you got to do. Just 5 more laps, and you will see that checkered flag, and it will be the end. Here as Charles Jurek still duking it out with Tony Hilbrands as they work their way into turn 3. Across the checkered line here. Jaden Hopp sitting in the lead here. Once he crosses the line, it'll be 3 laps left to go. In a very hard-fought and well-earned lead here for the race for Jaden Hopp. As Jaden Hopp currently sitting 6th in the championship. He's won one race already in the season on the pole twice. And he's going to be looking to make that 2 wins and 3 podiums here tonight with 2 laps left to go. Here is the final lap. Jaden Hopp working his way through turn 3 and out of turn 4. The checkered flag will fly. Jaden Hopp coming across the line for first. Daniel Mosteller going to come across the line here. Taking home second, Shawn Williams in third. As the rest of our field now makes their way across the checkered line. And Jaden Hopp is going to get himself ready to burn down the field here at Iowa Speedway. And here are the post-race results. Jaden Hopp taking home first, Daniel Mosteller in second, Shawn Williams in third, Scott Shire in fourth, Howie Briss in fifth, Aaron Smith in sixth, Benny Hogan in seventh, Tony Hilbrands in eighth, Charles Jurek in 9th, Nicholas Lavell in 10th, James Miller in 11th, Patrick Colby in 12th, Thomas Sewell in 13th, James Coulibaly in 14th, Matthew Fitz in 15th, Michael Ashmore in 16th, Kevin Foster in 17th, and Cody Welch in 18th. And as we go ahead and get ourselves ready for post-race interviews, we're going to take one quick commercial break before we do that, and when we come back, we will go ahead and get started with our first driver, Shawn Williams. Stay tuned, don't go anywhere, and we will be back for post-race interviews right here on iRacing with Team Goon Squad. All right, folks, just a moment here as we get ourselves ready for our post-race interviews. And first up, it is going to be Shawn Williams in the 89 machine up here in the booth with us first. Let's go ahead and bring Shawn Williams down here. Shawn, sir, do you have a read?
Got you, Mason. How you doing?
I am doing fantastic, Shawn. How are you feeling after taking home third place here tonight after a very, very tough race?
I'm a little sweaty, a little tired, but I'm very happy.
Yeah, I would be too. I mean, throughout this race here, Shawn, it was really, really tough to say, where anyone was going to fall once the checkered flag flew. I mean, we saw 192 green flag laps before we saw that first and only caution come out here at Iowa. And frankly, given Iowa, given the weather conditions here tonight, I mean, were you expecting things to go green flag for as long as they did, or were you expecting more of a caution fest here tonight, Shawn?
I expected a few yellows, not too many, but I did expect a few. Maybe some in the beginning, maybe a middle one, and then a bunch at the end. But I gotta say, everybody did one heck of a job tonight. That was awesome. It was fun getting those long green flag runs at a track like this.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. And Shawn, sitting right now in fourth place, currently fourth place in the championship standings, but I'm sure once everything gets updated here after the race, you're sitting pretty well in the championship. I mean, how are you feeling right now about the season, and do you really expect to see yourself as a contender going forward towards the end of the season, if you will, for the championship?
I'll try everything I can. We have so many fast people in this league, which is awesome because I feel like I get to learn and improve. So being fourth in points, it's nice. I'll do whatever I can. I've won a championship, but since then, we've just filled this league with some fast people. I mean, like Howie and all them. So I don't even know, Mason. I don't know. I'm just doing what I can.
Well, you're doing a phenomenal job, Shawn. Every single week we see that 89 machine up there competing, whether it's for the top 10, top 5, or even for a podium. I mean, you do an incredible job week in, week out. And to see yourself up here in the top 3, it's going to be your first pole of the season, if I'm not mistaken. So congratulations to that as well. But Shawn, before we let you go here and crack one open and celebrate, is there anyone watching the broadcast, anyone in the pit crew or at home that you want to shout out and thank for your success here tonight?
Oh yeah, Tony for putting on the league and everybody who shows up. It's really fun to race with these guys every week. To you for broadcasting. I love going back and watching them. You do an excellent job. And everybody who's just watching streams, your stream, my stream, anyone else's stream, we all appreciate anyone tuning in and supporting us. It's really cool.
Absolutely. Well, Shawn, I want to thank you for joining me here in the booth, and congratulations again on taking home third, and I look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. Have a great week.
You too, buddy.
All right, that is Shawn Williams, the 89 machine, taking home third place tonight for the Heartland 250. Up next is going to be the 87. Daniel Mosteller taking home a second place tonight. Here with, I believe, is going to be, stand by, let me make sure I'm not making a fool of myself here. Daniel, I believe this is going to be your first podium of the season. Actually, no, it isn't. You've actually won a race here already in the season. Now, you've taken another podium here in the season, not exactly competing for the championship, if you will, but really just having a good season here thus far in the 87. Daniel, I'm going to quit talking here and let you explain your night here and kind of walk me through what led to being able to put yourself up here in second. I mean, we saw an incredibly long green flag run there, a caution come out that just completely really kind of threw a wrench in the gears for a lot of drivers. Daniel, walk me through your night, man.
Well, I messed up my qualifying lap, and I started all the way on the last row of the grid, so I knew it was going to be a tough race. Thankfully, with the All-Star race, I kind of had a feeling about what I needed to do and how I needed to run the track. Really, the first 190 laps of that green flag run, I had played the strategy to where I was running 5th at the time of the yellow. I got the lucky dog on that yellow, so I was able to get my lap back and pit for new tires, and basically lining up. I think it was either 4th or 5th, but I had a little bit of luck. Obviously, with me having the lucky dog, I was about to get passed for that spot, but yeah, definitely wish I could have had a shot at Jaden, but he was just lights out. It sucks to finish second here again. Last week I was second, and this week I'm second, but it's a good points day. I'm not racing for the championship or anything. I'm racing here to have fun, and yeah, me and Shawn had a really good battle right up until the end, so yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I was watching you and Shawn duke it out there for quite some time. It was great watching you two kind of trade spots there for a few laps. But Dan, I mean, coming into the night, were you expecting things to go green for as long as they did? I mean, 192 laps that we saw a green flag run here tonight at Iowa, and I'm frankly, just seeing qualifying, seeing practice a little bit, it seemed like drivers could have struggled a little bit more than they did here, and really it was just fantastic seeing the level of performance out of all of our drivers here tonight. I mean, were you expecting that tonight, or I mean, what do you think ultimately led to everyone contributing to that green flag run here tonight?
I think that with the All-Star race last week being held here and conditions were similar, the setup I think was the same, so people had an idea of basically what they were doing. Usually tracks that are this small sometimes aren't prone to having green flag runs, or when I mean green flag runs, I mean like having pit stops involved with it, but yeah, it caught me off guard. I really didn't practice green flag pit stops at all in practice, so it was definitely a challenge to add on to my race, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. I really never had a run that long at a track like this with the conveying strategy. I think Aaron and James were going for a 3-stopper while everyone else was going for a 2-stopper.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, it was definitely a very interesting night here at Iowa, but I mean, you're able to put yourself up here on the podium, sitting in second place here tonight, Daniel, so I got to congratulate you for that. But before we let you go here and celebrate, is there anyone at home, anyone in the pit crew, or watching the broadcast that you want to shout out and thank before you go?
I want to thank Tony for putting on the league. It's always a blast racing with these guys. Want to thank everyone else watching. We put on a show, me and Shawn. Not the first time we've had a good race together, so yeah, a lot of fun. Thank you for broadcasting. You do an excellent job as always, and everyone else that shows up that helps put on this great show.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Daniel, for coming up here and chatting with me in the booth before you go, and congratulations on your podium, and I look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Have a great night. Daniel Mosteller out of the booth, taking home second place tonight in the number 87 machine. Last, and certainly not least, Jaden Hopp, the 81 machine, taking home the win here tonight. Jaden, do you have a read?
Yeah, I got you.
Jaden, what a phenomenal run that you had here tonight, and your second win of the season. Jaden, man, what did you have going on in that 81 machine that was just able to, really let yourself build that gap that you had towards the end? I mean, it just seemed like once you were able to get away from the field, you were just gone. It was pretty much all she wrote for the 81 car, and you were just a sight to behold at that point. Jaden, walk me through your night, man. I mean, what led to your success here?
It seemed like I was able to stick the car down to the bottom the best. It wasn't really the fastest lane, but it had the longest long run speed there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was really interesting seeing all the different line choices that drivers had. I mean, we had some that were sticking down low. We had some that were kind of sticking kind of mid to high. Very interesting choices. Now, I think the real kind of final nail in the coffin for a lot of drivers here tonight was pit strategy. It seemed like, we had drivers that were on 2-stop strategies. We had drivers that were on 3-stop strategies. What was kind of your expectations going into tonight as far as pit stops and just where you were expecting to end up once things were all said and done? I
expected more caution, so we didn't really have too much of a pit strategy, but I I didn't see the 3-stop strategy coming.
Yeah,
I think it was just gonna be 2.
Yeah, I personally I wasn't expecting anyone to take a 3-stop strategy. I saw Aaron Smith take a 3-stop. I'm not sure who else there was that took a 3-stop strategy, but there's definitely a few other drivers there in that mix as well. But either way, either how, Jaden, you pulled off a phenomenal win here tonight at Iowa. You just towards the end there, it just seemed like you were unbeatable and definitely a driver to reckon with. But Jaden, after taking home the win here tonight, is there anyone watching the broadcast, anyone at home, anyone in the pit crew that you want to shout out and thank for your win here tonight?
Just as always, to you for putting on a good broadcast and Tony for putting on a good week.
Absolutely. Well, Jaden, I want to thank you for joining me up here in the booth and congratulate you once again on taking home the win. And I look forward to seeing you next week, and hopefully we can have a similar conversation then.
All right, thank you.
Absolutely. Have a great night, Jaden. Jaden Hopp, the number 81 machine, out of the booth here, taking home the win for the Heartland 250 here for the 2022 VRL Cup Series. That is going to bring a conclusion to our coverage here tonight. I want to thank you all for tuning in and watching. And if you enjoyed the action that you saw here tonight, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Catch all the action that we have here on Team Goon Squad 7 days a week. And thank you all once again for tuning in and watching. And I will see you all next week, same time, same place, right here on Team Goon Squad. My name is Mason Heimball. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time.